Hello everyone, and thank you for joining my channel today. We are going to be discussing today an issue we're having in Excel. In these days we have Excel files where we receive transactions, like in this scenario, where the date and time are stamped in the same cell. Some systems they give you these separate cells where you have the date of the transaction and the time in a separate column. Unfortunately, in this one that we are having is date and time of a transaction happening multiple times during day or days, and we need to do a calculation. We want to know how long, how many minutes it took the transaction from the end to the beginning. In this case, we're going to take the first column and the last column. How do we solve that? Well, pretty easy. The key here is not the math calculation, but how we display the time that it took the transaction. So let's go. First thing we're gonna do is we get the new field where we're gonna do the subtraction to calculate the time. We are gonna, in this case, subtract 4/25/18 at 1:05 minus 4/24/18 at 5:51. We tab out and we are gonna get decimal value 0.80, so on and so forth. Why? Because it's giving us the default of the generic value of the cell. And this is the key. In this transaction, we have to be careful. In these days, technology databases, they do transactions in hours, minutes, seconds, or milliseconds. So to do this correctly, we are gonna have to put this transaction in a reasonable format. So we're gonna go through the cell, we're gonna right click, we're gonna go to format cells, and here again we said we want to know the time that it took the transaction. Well, this is a key. This because happens in stores and the transactions can take hours, minutes, or even days. We need to be careful and we need to select in the time the last one that also accommodates if the transaction took more than a day, more than 24 hours. So we are going to select 37, 30, 55. Again, we are selecting time, and in the type, we are going to select the last type that you can see here, 37, 30, 55. So what's going to happen is going to calculate the transaction, and it's going to give us the hours, minutes, and seconds that the transaction took. In this case, 19 hours, 13:38. We really don't care much about the seconds, because again, plus minus 1 second here in this type of transaction does not represent a lot, but I don't know if it's important in your case, but just to take in consideration, it gives us the second as well. We'll see later on that we're gonna round them up or down to calculate the minutes in the next cell. But for now, we have clear that we subtract the time, we convert it, and we have the time that it takes. Again, let's calculate, because in this case it's 19 hours, so it was less than a day. And it can be most of the cases that they are less than a day, especially you work on databases or in technology. But because this was a store in the transaction, you have different people doing different jobs. It took more than 24 hours. Let's see here, we have around 102 transactions, and out of 102, we can see that some of them took quite a long time for whatever reason. The clerk or whoever were working was different people. It could be two that they were working there. It took more than 24 hours. We have 70 hours, 43 hours, 71, 23, 44. So you can see several days to do sometimes a transaction, even though it's not the most common one. Just you can see that an hour, 2 hours seems to be the most common transaction. Yeah. But yeah, that's why it's so important to calculate more than 24 hours. Other way, it's not going to do the calculation correctly. So there you have it. You have the subtraction of 1 day time minus the second day time. Now, we have hours, minutes, and seconds. Let's calculate the minutes. Just for the sake of it, as we said before, let's calculate the minutes, and let's just round up the seconds too. So we do it the same math calculation. Minutes is going to be equal to the value that we had before, and obviously because we're calculating minutes, we are doing in 24 hours a day. Sorry about that, folks. And we'll multiply by 60 minutes in an hour. So we're gonna get with a format, as you can see, in hours, minutes, and seconds. Why? Because it's taking the original format of the math calculation that we are doing and pushing it into the next cell. So we're going to do that to know exactly the minutes. We are doing the reverse process. As we did before, we right click on the cell, we scroll down to format cells. Obviously it's going to default us in this case to the time as we select before, but now we have to do the reverse process. In this case, let's do the number, because we want just to calculate the minutes and we don't even care about the seconds. So let's convert it to a decimal place. As you can see, it was 1153.63, but let's just get rid of the decimals. Let's round it to 4 and we are good to go. There you have it. So 19 hours, 13 minutes and 30 seconds is exactly approximately 1154 minutes. And there you have it. This is how long it took a transaction that we took for the original datetime stamp that we subtract from another datetime, so we know exactly how many minutes it took. Again, we do the same thing. We can just, you know, go down and we will see the different conversion, the format hour, minute, seconds to just minutes. Here you can do any calculation. Like in this case, for example, they want to know the average transaction time. Well, you can do just a simple Excel formula, the same that you do every time. You can go functions and calculate. I don't know, let's do the average in this case, and you're gonna select all the data for the average, and there you go. I don't know if this is very good approach, but again, this is just a math calculation. There you got it. That it tells you the average that it took in minutes, this transaction. With 102 transactions. Again, probably a 19th percentile or something like that. Probably it's more representative, because again, you're skewing numbers. You have very large amount of small numbers and a humongous number on the other side. But again, average is average. That's what you get. 145 minutes for all these transactions. So here you have a demo how to resolve the issue when you have to subtract dates, hours, minutes, seconds from two Excel cells where the dates and the times are stamped together. Again, I hope this is helpful. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions or comments, please just type along and let me know. Again, thank you very much and goodbye.